What's going on, people? What's going on? So, let's talk about AEW. So, I want to talk about a couple of things involving AEW and going forward to World's End. So, the show, of course, was in the Hammerstein Ballroom, and the crowd was really into the show. And I'm like, is it just me, or does the Hammerstein Ballroom look bigger? I always see like 2 tiers open the most. They had all 3 open, okay, and they had some, the seats down towards the entrance and all that. They have a narrow entrance, so you're not going to be able to get like a really big screen, but it had a good feel, had a good look to it. So anyway, it's a good show, and I was feeling it as well. So let me see. No particular order. Let me talk about Mercedes Moné and Chris Statlander. Now, Chris Statlander and Penelope Ford, they had a good fight, had a good match, and hard hitting. Now, I'm not really here to pretty much break down the match, but the matches, but just talk about pretty much the results and where I think things may be going. So anyway, Chris Statlander, she gets the win. It was a good match and solid match, and she gets the win. Mercedes comes out and she says, well, she wanted to take World's End off because of the type of year she had, but she says, well, I beat you once and I'll beat you again. So that match is on. Now, personally, you never know what's going to happen in wrestling. You don't know. And hopefully Chris Statlander, isn't going anywhere. I don't know when her contract expires and whatever, but a lot of times what happens is when you expect someone to win and then they don't. And a lot of times it's either because they're leaving or they may have to take a leave of absence or something to that effect. So anyway, I don't know. But if all is well, I could be wrong, but I'm just going to go ahead and say I think Chris Statlander may finally beat Mercedes Moné for that championship at World's End. Now, let's say if she doesn't. Let's say if Mercedes Moné cheats and she wins. Maybe Willow Nightingale runs out, and even if it's too late, but maybe she runs out, something happens, like she cheats to win or something, and then she goes to get a chair to try to do some harm to her. Because I think people want to see Chris Statlander and Willow, piece these things up. Let's squash this beef between the two of us. It was a fun time when the two of them were getting along. I haven't seen much of Stokely. What's his face? I'm talking about the little bald guy. Always forget his damn name. But anyway, I almost called him Stokely Carmichael. But yeah. So I don't know. But I'm thinking what might happen, because we haven't seen Camille. I'm thinking what might happen is Camille might come out and cost Mercedes Moné the TBS championship. That's what I'm thinking will probably happen. Because people think that Camille left AEW, but Camille just severed ties with Mercedes Moné. Wrestling is, all about timing as well. So probably just waiting for the right time to put Camille in the mix. And maybe her first feud might be with Mercedes Moné, because she's had some matches, but she hasn't had a feud yet. So who knows? I don't know. And they might wind up even getting cool. If you remember, Chris Statlander is the one that beat Camille. And, I wanted to see Camille get that kind of push where she's like the new badass. And, I do feel like that match with Chris Statlander was too soon. Because Camille, I like Camille as a performer, man, and she can hold her own, but once again, I don't make big bones about things because you don't know what, the promotion, what they see, that, Tony Khan or whoever, whatever promotion, what they see for a person. But yeah, Camille, I like Camille as a wrestler. So I just feel like that match was a little too soon with Chris Statlander. Now, And of course, there's times people do things that you just like, what the hell did y'all do that for? But anyway, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. So we know that that match is on, and I will be watching World's End. Now, let's talk about Ricochet and Will Ospreay. They had a solid match as well. And Ricochet, obviously, you can see, of course, heel turn. And to me, it looked like he's playing more of like his natural character. If you ever watch Ricochet on interviews, he's a bit of a nerd. He's like silly, he's like goofy. You know what I mean? He's I don't know where people get this mentality from, where it's like Ricochet's supposed to be like some badass or something like, but that's just not Ricochet, man. Okay, that being said, his character change is obvious. He pretty much wants to be like an asshole type character, get under people's skin. He went for a move. Move was kind of botched at first, and I think he did a moonsault or something off the top rope, but he wound up landing on his feet, but he missed it at first and kind of slipped down. So the crowd started, getting on his case about that, and he flipped them off, of course, so he's playing the heel character pretty well, man. Before he came to the last company that he was in, which was WWE, of course, I remember seeing him in Lucha Underground as Prince Puma. I saw him in the Indies. I saw him with or without the mask, so I knew who Ricochet was when he came to WWE in the first place. And now being here in AEW, he pretty much is like, I think the heel turn was, good for a couple of reasons. Now, one, for him to not get a title right away, which is what a lot of people think when someone leaves WWE and go to any promotion, okay, let alone AEW, especially AEW. They feel like that person's supposed to come in and automatically title, but let it build up. Whatever title he gets first, whether it's a singles, whether it's a tag, like let it build up. Let him get into his character. Let it all start to marinate with the audience, and the titles feel more special when there's a build up to it, and especially when people don't want to see you get it, as opposed the same way like when they want to see you get it. When it's a build up to it, it's like the anticipation is more. That match has more anticipation because the emotions are there from the fans, more so than just let's see who wins. So let it build up. And listen, that was a huge win. He beat Will Ospreay. He cheated, but he won. And people are not acknowledging the fact that he has 9 points on the Gold League and the Continental Classic, and he's leading the board with that. Now, doesn't mean he wins the whole thing, but he just might. Who knows? And he kind of has that Trey Miguel look, and he has that feel like I said, like he wants to be like the asshole type character, get under people's skin. People want to see him get his ass kicked, and pretty much, it's at least in that sense as a heel, it's not going to be really cared about too much if he loses matches. But it's not like Ricochet came in and he's losing match after match after match. He didn't win the Battle Royal. People complain. Like, was he supposed to win the Battle Royal? Just because he's Ricochet? Did AJ Styles win the Royal Rumble when he came over from New Japan after leaving TNA? No. Right? Did Jordan Grace go and win the Royal Rumble just because she entered it? No. And she got a huge pop from the crowd. Hell, Jade Cargill didn't even win it. Okay? So, and this was her debut match. So, at the end of the day, and not going to focus on the haters, man. And just to get on this and get off it and get right back to the show, last night's show. I say like Dutch Mantel and a couple other people, these guys piggyback off each other, man. They watch videos or they see thumbnails and then they start to all make the same type of video because see the algorithms will get more attention to your videos. That's why they do what they do. And they said Ricochet looked like a bitch. Okay, yeah. He was outnumbered by 3 people. They're still harping on this. We've had Collision, and they're still talking about Dynamite. But here's the deal, okay? It's him in the ring by himself. It's 3 of them. If Bobby Lashley was by himself, Ricochet wouldn't have did shit. It's three of them. So he pretty much wanted to take the peaceful route. Not like they stomped him up or anything, but yeah, he got bitched and got sent to the back. Dominic Mysterio looks like a bitch every single week. Every single week. The Street Profits look like bitches every single week. In fact, especially Montez Ford, because it's really fucked up when people go, what's that dude name? Who? Bianca Belair's husband. Yeah, they know her, but don't even remember his name a lot of times. Okay, we want to sit and talk about people looking like bitches. People get bitched all of the time. I guess it's an unwritten rule that if you get bitched in the WWE, it's okay. I mean, Ricochet looked like a bitch when Braun Breaker was slamming him around, beating him up backstage, and he was damn near moaning like a female. So it's just people just jumping on the bandwagon. Let's give some AEW hate, and our videos will get more attention, and that's all that shit is. And it's goofy. So, anyways, he got a good win, a big win against Will Ospreay. And Will has lost a good good 4 or 5 matches lately. So what happens when you start winning all of the time? A lot of times, the fans kind of turn on you. It happens. So you have to balance it out properly where, it's not like he lost straight up. And hey, man, Ricochet's a heel. He did what a heel does. Solid match. Loved it. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna, all of this stuff about people looking like bitches, people getting bitched and all of this shit, and people just holding on to pettiness. Solid match, solid card, all around. Hey, listen, the Beast Mortis versus Mark Briscoe. Another good match. It's obvious, like, Tony Khan has a lot of respect for the Briscoes, man, and what they did and their contribution to wrestling and Ring of Honor, particularly, and Mark Briscoe's you can see the respect there, man. The Beast Mortis is like, I remember watching him in CMLL. I remember watching him in TNA, and he pretty much, man, like, it's not his time just yet for whatever type of push he may get. He's a guy too that I don't know if they're thinking maybe singles, tag title or something, or maybe singles, or maybe something with Ring of Honor. I don't know. But the guy is in entertaining matches. And, Mark Briscoe got the win against him. And people also got to understand, the wins and losses in the Continental Classic, okay, also will bring shock value when someone wins a match that you don't really expect them to win. I mean, people was, you worry about the complaints. Can people, why bring this big, strong guy in if he's going to lose to everybody? It look like nobody can beat him. You mean like Amos? Yeah, big 7 foot, 450-pound guy who basically did nothing but come in the ring, make faces, slam people around, and then get pinned. Like, like Ivy Nile. This is what I mean, man. It's always this whole, they're doing this, they're doing that. They're doing this, they're doing that. It's wrestling. You're not going to, like I said, you're not going to hit a home run every single show. But at the same time, or every decision you make, everybody's not going to like it. You don't like the fact that Mark Briscoe won, but at the same time, there's a whole lot of other people that like the fact he won. And in fact, look at the reaction he got from the people in the building. But at the same time, yeah, I do feel like this guy needs to get some wins, and impressively, where, because his look and his ability, he's a major player. Hopefully that Tony Khan, understands that and see that in him, because you have to get wins, especially on TV. But we see 3 different shows, 5 hours of TV with a roster of over 80 wrestlers. Man, that's a lot. That's a lot. So that was a good win, and I'm really into the Continental Classic, man. And just to see what's going on, like, and people always have their picks. Like, I mean, a lot of people were saying Okada. The following week, they're saying it's somebody else. The following week, they're saying that it's going to be somebody else. And that's the beauty of it. Now, Claudio Castagnoli versus Darby Allin. I wasn't really sure of who was going to win this one. And I know the type of, like the heat that's going on with the Death Riders and with Darby. Will Ospreay, all these guys, they didn't form any group. And Will Ospreay is trying to get through the Continental Classic first, like he said. But I think people probably thought Darby was going to win. I myself wasn't sure. You're never really sure. Well, a lot of times you're not. A lot of times you are in wrestling. But in an event like this, and the fact that this is in the tournament, because I'm looking and I'm thinking, let me see. We know that at World's End is going to be Moxley, Hangman, Jay White, and Orange Cassidy. And so my thoughts was, this all might depend on what happens. And I could be wrong. But I think Moxley retains. The reason I think he retains is because I think Darby Allin is going to be the one to beat him. Now, if Orange Cassidy, doesn't do it, because looking at who, honestly, out of those guys, I wouldn't care which one really won. I mean, if I had to pull for any one of the guys in there, it would, I don't know, man. Because I like Heyman, I like Adam Page, I like Orange Cassidy and Jay White. And when you look, it's like, man, you know what? I would like to see, and then you kind of just like, everybody has their pick. But I think the fan favorite would be Orange Cassidy. And if Orange doesn't do it, I feel like they are building up to a Moxley versus Darby Allin showdown at some point. So wins and losses in the Continental Classic isn't going to affect what happens in terms of a championship match. This is an actual feud going on. So I think that Moxley retains at World's End. And I think that none of those guys are going to want to take a backseat to each other. I think that they feel like they want to get the title off of Moxley, but there's no unity. So these guys are all going ahead. Like, it's a heated rivalry. Now, even if they stick together at some point in that match and they all start to beat up Moxley, I see them probably getting into it again. They're bickering back and forth. I think Moxley pulls off the win. And I think at some point it's going to end up maybe in Wembley. Or they're going to Texas this year. Whatever. I don't know. Probably at the next big pay-per-view is when you'll get it. It won't happen on Dynamite or, that type of match for the world title. And I think that Darby is going to probably be the one to beat Moxley. Claudio got the win, and it's not going to hurt Darby at all. It's not going to hurt him at all. And that's the one thing that I like. But a lot of people are used to that format of you have certain guys that stand out and they're automatically supposed to win all the time. Then you guys get upset and go, man, this guy wins all the time. Man, people starting to say that about Orange Cassidy. Oh, this guy kicks out of everything. This guy's Superman. This guy, he always wins. So these things happen. And for Darby, he's never been the world champion. And I feel like it'll be his time. John Moxley, on the other hand, you see how he, him and Marina Shafir, they got the hell up out of there. And he's back here clowning these guys, watching them go back and forth. Yeah, he wanted to be friction between these guys. He don't want them to stick together and focus on him. Of course not. So I think that's how that's going to go. And let me just say this real quick so I don't forget. In 2025, AEW, they're coming to Max. Now, they're, of course, still going to be on TNT and TBS, but all of their shows will be streaming on Max. I'm hoping that Ring of Honor brand is a part of that deal. I don't see why it won't be. I just didn't hear any conversation from Tony Khan saying that that's the case. Because even, think about this. Ring of Honor didn't have a TV deal. They were being, Ring of Honor was just they were. I was watching every episode of Ring of Honor before Tony Khan bought it. When I was watching it all on YouTube. So even like the WWE is going to Netflix. So the rumor of AEW creating a show called Shockwave is funny because I created a show on 2K called Shockwave for the league that I created. But yeah, it's I've heard that. I haven't heard that from anyone in AEW. I haven't read that anywhere. I only heard content creators say that. Now it's possible that that was something that they were planning or trying to do or trying to work out with USA, because Tony Khan himself had said at one point they were in talks with several networks. And basically, for WWE to leave USA, and if USA want to continue on with the wrestling promotion, well, why not AEW? I mean, I even heard at one point that the NWA was having had a deal that they were trying to finalize with the CW network, and it was rumored that there was a type of match that they had. And I forgot what the stipulation was. I think it was where somebody got bloody or somebody shot a fireball or something to that effect, and then they said that killed the deal. In fact, even Vince Russo talked about it, and I'm like, well, if that's the case, all they had to do was say, hey, well, on this network, we're not gonna, and it didn't happen on that network, or they don't, certain content they wanted to kind of like, don't have it such, we don't want such blood and gore type of things like that or something. But I don't know. It just sounds silly to me. So I don't know. A lot of times you just hear talk. You don't know what's really true and what's not. So I didn't want to, make any videos telling people that that's what's happening, because I don't know. I've never heard that from anybody. In fact, I haven't even heard Billy Corgan speak on it. So whatever the story is, I don't know. But I think it would be cool, man, if all these promotions, MLW, all of them could get a major TV deal, man. Like when people say, who wants to watch wrestling all week? I say, yeah, you're not a true wrestling fan. You watch football all week, right? Okay. And at the end of the day, you watch the NBA all week. You watch the baseball all week, or whatever sport is on when it's season. So that's part of the problem, with all these casuals. But I think that, truthfully, looking at, where the fact that anytime when major players are a part of something, something big is going on. And that's like the future. Streaming, look, you have the PBC in boxing they're on Amazon Prime. They're on Prime. Now you have boxing on Netflix. You have the Zone. So initially people were going, oh man, how you gonna have a pay-per-view, a boxing pay-per-view on a streaming app? How you gonna have these? Because things are changing and people get so used to things being one way, they can't see how the change is beneficial. But I hope that Ring of Honor is a part of that deal. And hopefully that will be smooth for Ring of Honor, because then guess what? Now when they're doing pay-per-views, they can actually give Ring of Honor its separate pay-per-views. Now, the only thing is, I don't know if the Ring of Honor brand has a big enough fan base to where they'll be in a big building. Like, I don't know what type of crowd they would draw. You understand? With just the Ring of Honor brand. And just like NXT, they're not in like really huge buildings at all. And, one of their last pay-per-views, It looked like they had about 10,000 people come out or something to that effect or whatever, almost. Something around that those type of numbers. So, Ring of Honor, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Tony Khan didn't buy them. Not saying they would have went out of business, but basically, because I mean, look at MLW. I see all of their content on YouTube. I don't know anyone that has Access TV, and that's what TNA comes on. So these streaming apps, TNA, MLW, I'm looking to see what they're going to do because Women of Wrestling comes on one of these streaming apps. I think it may be Tubi. I think one of them come on Tubi. WEW, okay, Women's Extreme Wrestling comes on. I think that comes on Tubi as well. But anyway, like for that to be the case going forward, that would help the wrestling brands grow because now you get to see the weekly episodes. Now what's happening, and I understand it, is you're getting highlights. You're not getting the full show. And when you do get the full show, you got to wait forever to get it. So if we're watching that episode, and let's just say, for example, you have, EC3 fighting against whoever the hell, and they have a feud. And then let's say the following week, they have a highlight uploaded, right? Just highlights. The following week, more highlights. The end of the month, a whole show. Most people are not going to go back and then watch the whole show if they saw the highlights already. Unless they were really overwhelmed and blown away by what they saw. And then it's like, I want to see the whole show, And then when you look at the amount of views that the videos get, it's a different time now. So hopefully that Ring of Honor is a part of that package. And so when Eric Bischoff and these guys are saying Tony Khan needs to get Ring of Honor a TV deal, come on. Eric Bischoff, of all people, he should know it's not as simple as you make it sound, man. Come on. Especially when your flagship show isn't doing 1 million views, 2 million views, or, now you're going to just take a show that's even less popular and get a major TV deal. Like, why do you think Chris Jericho is the Ring of Honor champion right now? And that part of me also, too, leads me to believe that Ring of Honor. I don't see a reason why it wouldn't be. It's part of, the AEW banner anyway. But yeah, because they need a name. They need someone that is a familiar face. And who was the most popular guy that AEW had when they launched AEW? Chris Jericho. So now, for them to go to 2025 and Chris Jericho being a part of Ring of Honor, yeah, that will get people to watch. The roster that you see there have been all over AEW at some point as well and back and forth. So they'll get views, but whenever AEW have a big event and Ring of Honor is a part of it, the building is not as packed for the Ring of Honor shows. And that's why I'm saying, in terms of the build, wrestling just feels, but anything that you do in front of a crowd just feels a lot better when it's a nice sized crowd. You know what I mean? And I don't know what type of crowds Ring of Honor will draw. But at least if they can get a full, show, their shows are being on Netflix. I mean, I'm sorry, not Netflix. I'm sitting there looking at Netflix logo. Being a part of Max, it's like it's still a part of whatever AEW is doing. So like when they have their show first, yeah, it's a lot less people in the audience, and they'll start to pile in, after once the AEW events start. In fact, one of the things I noticed about wrestling too, I used to see this in only boxing, where the building isn't even halfway full during like the prelim matches. And wrestling didn't used to be like that, man. It used to be packed from beginning to end. So it's a different day and time, man. But make sure I'm not forgetting anything from the show. Making sure But yeah, man, I like what's going on with AEW, man, and yeah, I would like to see the NWA, like I said, and MLW, hopefully something work out for them where we can, have access to watching their shows. It's a lot more fun when you can follow what's going on with the stories. Because even if you're not like you have to work, you have responsibilities. You're not going to be able to sit and watch every single promotion. Like fully just sit and watch every promotion. And let alone all of the movies and all of the the series that people are watching. Like it's a lot. But at least you can watch and go, okay, what happened? All right, now I know what happened. So you don't have to necessarily even see the full episode. The difference is you can, and if the first time you see it, you're seeing the full episode because you're watching, whatever they have on the streaming apps. It just makes it more satisfying than just seeing the bits and pieces, and then now I'm gonna go back and watch the whole thing. But yeah, man, it was a good show, and it just had a good feel, man. It really did. And Chris Jericho coming out with him and Big Bill and what's the guy named Brian something, Brian Keith or whatever, and Big Boom and his son comes out or whatever the hell he called himself. He comes out, and then there's Anthony Bowens comes out, and I know that what's the other guy named from the Acclaim? Well, his partner, he was like slowly turning heel, and he pretty much became heel. And the last time I saw him, he got the brakes beat off of him by Swerve Strickland. And so it looks like the Acclaim is gonna separate, man. Like that's the vibes that I'm getting. I don't know what's going on. Like if it's a contract thing, like if one of them, I don't know. It doesn't look like either one of them is trying to leave. I just don't know if creatively they're trying to figure out what exactly they're gonna do with them. Billy Gunn, we haven't seen him as much. And Anthony Bowens came out without his partner. So it's just kind of like, it looks like they're on their way to a split up for the Acclaim. I don't know why, because the Acclaim was still hot, man. But, it is what it is, man. FTR, you got all these different people, man. These different guys that there's a lot. It's a lot of people. It's a lot. And sometimes the shake up, like I said, they're gonna happen. But I think it might be a bit too soon for the Acclaim. But hey, we'll see. And then two, Bobby Lashley, when he came out and attacked Garcia, because Garcia basically got the win against Shelton Benjamin. They had a solid match too, and he got the pin on Benjamin. So Lashley and MVP comes down. Of course, he starts beating down Garcia, and freaking Swerve Strickland, he jumped off of one of those tiers, man, onto Bobby Lashley. Like, he came out of nowhere. And, like, with the camera angle, when it hit, I didn't even know what was going on. I looked and I just see somebody flying through the air. And I'm like, the hell? And it was, Swerve Strickland. So, yeah, that was a pretty cool scene, segment right there as well. And, like, this is the type of stuff that when you go forward, man, like, and you want to make your debut, you have to have, like, a lot going on. And, like, let's not simmer down and wait till we get on the pickup. Like, no, go into their picking up, and then no slowing down, man. Just keep doing what you're doing and just keep improving and putting out the best product that you can. I think that I really feel like if people just change their attitudes and stop with all of this picking sides, like just enjoy the product, man. It's just a different day and time. There's a bunch of like whiny crybabies, man. I truthfully, like I said, people are gonna have their favorites, but I never really cared. I didn't watch the AWA because there was nothing else on until Saturday when I got to watch WWE, and then NWA come on at 6:05 or whatever. No, I watched the AWA. It was just because I just love to watch wrestling, man. When I watched Smoky Mountain I might have told y'all the story before with these two guys, man. They gave me and my cousin a big box full of VCR tapes. There's those 8-hour Maxell VHS tapes, and we were kids, man. And just a box full of wrestling videos, and yeah, man, all these different promotions and stuff that we didn't even know about was on there, and I'm like, whoa. So I mean, we were blown away, man. Like, and we just love to watch wrestling. So it's like, I don't understand people with this nonsense, just, pick a side stupidity. Every company has no problem taking your money. Of course, they want you to buy their products and support their company and help them to get richer, and for the people that, just don't, I don't know. I just think it's just a lack of maturity in people, man. Like you hear people say every so often, now's a fun time to be a wrestling fan. It's like, look, if you support wrestling, you support wrestling. Simple. I truthfully never set up and just compared them. I only answered questions. Unless somebody asked me, what do I like better or whatever, I never really sat and thought about it, man. I just like what I like, man. And I always felt like it was more fun when every organization had their core wrestlers that was a part of their stable, as opposed to, people being greedy and trying to just get every top wrestler that they can think of and drain these other promotions and then buy them out and then they go away. Now you go get these guys in, you don't use them right, and then they wind up going to whatever promotions are left, and little by little it just gets down to where it was like hardly anywhere else to go, especially where it'd be televised and everybody could see it. Now, when you watch the indies and they have these little access channels like where it's like the AM radio of TV, and they're like little high school gyms and stuff like that, and nothing special about the setup, the ring, the pyro, none of that stuff. Just and that's pretty much what a lot of these guys are doing, man. So yeah, I mean, I remember Tony Atlas told us, he said that he was holding a championship at some promotion and he was actually homeless at the time. It's things that people go through that others don't even think about, man. He just, you see a character on TV, you hear the roar of the crowd, and okay, it was a good show, but you don't know what people are going through, what people deal with. And like for me, I just like I love to watch professional wrestling. You know what I mean? So like for me, it's not about picking sides, man. It's just you're gonna see stuff that don't make sense, stuff that you don't really, didn't really care for that. But overall, man, it is what it is, I mean, hell, we play games, right? And a lot of times there's games that come out and there's things that you can do or can't do, things you wish you could do, things that, and in this era of time, especially, and I want to say this in closing, in this era of time, no, I'm not going to say that. I'll save that for another video, because in this era of time, man, you have updates. Back in the day, you didn't. Like I said before, you didn't. You had what you had, and hey, that was that. When we make another game, then you'll have something new. Right now, people need to take advantage of what's not being done. And I feel like that's what everybody should be thinking. I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. Let's do what's not being done. And even if we do what everybody else is doing, we're going to do everything else that they're not doing. So we're giving you something different. More is not always better. Different is better. But that's also subjective because you have people that's just stuck into I like this and I only like this. But yeah, it was a solid episode of Collision. And yeah, man, I mean, I'm going to definitely watch World's End. I'm pretty much going to do the video on it. Yeah, man, and hopefully it's a good, solid, fun show. And then, too, you never know who may wind up popping up new. And one thing's for sure is I don't look for somebody to pop up new. I don't use my imagination and then say that's what's going to happen because I thought it. It's just like, and you don't know who's. My whole thing is this. One of the people that I'm looking out for is I know AJ Styles. I haven't seen him in New Japan. I've heard that he had a couple of matches in Japan. I don't know if it was New Japan particularly, and I haven't heard anything about him coming back to the WWE. And I'm saying to myself, like, what if AJ Styles winds up popping up in AEW? You just never know. And he's one of the reasons that I watch WWE. And I haven't seen him in a long time, man. Hey, and he went out like a bitch against Cody, remember? I quit. When Cody picked up the steps like he was going to hit him with the steps. Yeah, he was begging. AJ Styles. Anyway, y'all, that's all I got for y'all right now. I will catch you guys on the next video.